Well, good morning, and thank everyone for coming out here today. I've got a few people before we get started that I want to address and acknowledge that are here. I'm Sheriff Ron Montgomery from my agency, is the lead investigator on this case, Investigator Lane Forrest. With Walmart Global Security is Jeff Meyer, and representing the Attorney General of Virginia's office will be Kyle Wood. What we're here to talk about today is organized retail theft. That's the whole basis of this case. In July of last year, the General Assembly passed a law that made it a Class 3 felony in Virginia, which carries a term of imprisonment up to 20 years, that if a group works in concert and steals more than $5,000 worth of product in 90 days with the intent to sell that and profit from it, it is a Class 3 felony now in Virginia. This is what this case is. It's a fairly large case, and you're going to hear the details of that in just a moment from Investigator Forrest, but I'll give you some of the background of it before we get into that. We were notified, the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office, were notified in April of this year that there was a group of individuals that were living in the Hampton Roads area that were going to various Walmarts, not only in this area but throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, that had been involved in a scheme where they were buying televisions. They would then return broken televisions in the same boxes by exchanging serial numbers, and Investigator Forrest will get into the details of that. And we're doing it basically on a daily basis. This was a huge operation for them. What we've been able to identify with the help of Jeff Meyer with Walmart is that approximately $183,000 worth of loss to Walmart in the Commonwealth of Virginia alone. We're probably looking at well over $600,000 that this organization was responsible for from here to Florida, and that investigation is ongoing. We will be involved with that, but we're also trying to get other investigative organizations involved as well. There were in Virginia 129 offenses so far that we're aware of at 34 different locations, and this involved approximately 187 televisions. To date, we have arrested 4 people. So far in custody, we have Lisa Bird of Newport News, age 35, Aaron Crane of Newport News, age 25, James J. Montgomery of Newport News, age 34, and Timothy Ricks of Newport News, age 44. They've all been charged with the following 4 offenses: 18-2103.1, which is the organized retail theft statute that I just described. They've been charged with money laundering, conspiracy to commit felonies, and larceny with the intent to sell or distribute stolen property. Those 4 have all been arrested. We have 3 additional that we're currently looking for that were involved in this ring: Craig Clary of Hampton, age 34, Cameron Council of Hampton, age 25, and Sean Washington of Newport News, age 44. So the investigation continues with them right now to bring all 7 of these people to trial in York County. Retail theft in Virginia averages about $1 billion a year based on information that the Attorney General's office has been able to gather that started this entire road down the road to having this legislation passed last July 1st. So this is clearly a huge issue in the Commonwealth of Virginia, not just for the box stores, but for the average consumer as well. And that's why we're so passionate about this case and why Investigator Forrest has worked so hard on this. This is passed down eventually to the consumers through higher prices and lost revenue as well. So at this point in time, I'm going to bring up Investigator Lane Forrest, and he's going to be able to describe for you how intricate this was and how he was able to arrest these individuals. Lane?
Thank you, Sheriff Montgomery. Thank you again, as Sheriff Montgomery stated, for coming out today. I was placed with Jeff Meyer with Walmart Global. He had brought us a case involving these individuals, some unidentified at the time. He had been tracking these subjects for several months, trying to put together all of the responsible offenses that they had committed in the Commonwealth as well as up and down the Eastern Seaboard. He then actually started surveillance on the individuals, got to understand exactly how the crime was committed. The crime started with the purchase of the televisions. We found that in our portion, as well as Jeff's, that it was a two-person unit at a minimum that were going to purchase the televisions because of the sheer size. And once these were picked up, they would load them into box trucks that they were leasing during different times. They would keep these box trucks, from what we found, until the point that they were reported as unauthorized use because they were not paying the lease on these vehicles. They needed vehicles these size just for the size of the size of the televisions that they were ultimately stealing. Once they got these devices into the back of the box trucks, they had packaging material waiting, and they were able to do this in such a fashion that when they returned them to the store, that whatever clerk or associate they were dealing with looked at the item and thought that it was an unboxed item or that it had not been opened. Therefore, there was not a lot of questioning, not a lot of, it was basically placed right back on the shelf where an unsuspecting consumer would come and purchase the device and get it home, install it, and find that it was completely broken. You can see behind me some of the levels that they went for the packaging. This is ultimately, when you plug it in, it's a broken device, but on the new television that they received, they removed all of the materials such as the side straps, the serial number label off of the back, and then placed it on the return TV. Through our portion of the investigation, we could get more into the financial aspects of their endeavors. They were posting these on various social media sites using stock photos that the images just shown were used upwards to 80 times on 80 different sales. Once they got them listed, they would sell. We're still trying to tally up the exact amount that we found beyond Jeff's investigation, but they were doing quite well. Some of the initial financial services that they were using, we can see upwards to 600 different transactions for those services for these devices. Behind me are confirmed locations for Commonwealth, Virginia, red being Walmart and blue being Sam's Club. Then as we looked in further, we could find that they were probably responsible for several other locations, the yellow being other big box stores in the Commonwealth, where we have tracked their movements to. And that's a part of the ongoing investigation with the Commonwealth. And then lastly, we were able to confirm locations up and down the eastern seaboard, all the way to Florida, where their efforts continued. We found, for a total confirmed number of offenses, currently sitting at 491. This affects 321 different box stores, Walmart and Sam's Club, for a total of 691 televisions. And as Sheriff Montgomery stated, it's sitting at right at $700,000 in loss. That's what we've been able to find. But as I stated before, we are still researching heavily they've been to locations that Walmart was previously unaware of. We have Target that we know is an involved party of their efforts that we are starting an investigation on very soon.
I want to say how great of an investigation that you all have done, and Detective, in identifying this, working with Jeff at Walmart, and it's so humbling to see this type of investigation and justice. So thank you for that. I do want to say, from the Attorney General's standpoint, that this is one of his top priorities, is addressing organized retail theft. We have put into place at the agency a group that is specifically dedicated to providing resources to law enforcement agencies, Commonwealth's attorneys, and retailers. And this is a prime example of law enforcement agencies and retailers working together to bring down organized retail groups. And so one of the things that's most important about cases like this is the impact that it has on our Commonwealth, the law enforcement agencies that work these cases, the retailers that go out and do these types of investigations and identify these people. And so I'm truly humbled to be a part of this, to make some remarks. And Jason Miyares is 100% on board with providing any resources. So any Commonwealth Attorney's Office, any law enforcement agency, and any retailer in the state of Virginia, contact our office and we will provide any resource to you. Thanks, Sheriff.
When these big box stores like Walmart, Sam's Clubs, and we've identified some others that we're still working on as well, when they absorb losses like this in the hundreds of thousands of dollars and approaching $750,000, eventually, as we all know, those losses are going to be passed down to the average consumer. There's also a tax loss as well. I think at one point the Attorney General's office had come up with a figure of about $83 million in lost tax revenue in the Commonwealth of Virginia alone. So when you see those types of losses, eventually that's going to be passed on to the consumer.